was literally, they had to dig her out of her car
Wow.
when she had her accident. And this woman is still going to church. She plays the piano at that church, that big church in the Bronx. Some Italian Catholic church in the Bronx. She still plays the organ. She's a multi-millionaire too. She's very wealthy. Her house was completely demolished by some tornado that happened a couple of years ago. She lives right up there in Tenafly, is it?
Yeah.
In that area, and the wind just took. And she had a mansion. It was called Deer Ledge Mansion, and it took the entire house, destroyed completely. But she, you know, the governor had her living with them and this and that. So that's how I met her.
Okay.
Because when she was younger,
Okay.
she was very active in the famous cultural programs. She would bring in all these famous pianists. Most of the people I've met in the music world I met.
Okay.
So don't start on my stories. I have a lot of stories. It's okay.
No, those are fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she rang my doorbell, and I think that was just so wonderful of her to really even care enough to try to connect the two of us, because she was speaking to you, and I guess it connected her to whatever I told her about what we're doing.
Yes. Yes.
And
It is incredible. God works.
he sure does. He does.
I'm so sure.
Yes,
I'm
me too.
sure that God has His hands.
Amen. I know that.
I know too.
Absolutely no doubt.
I feel so. Because, and I have resisted, you know, I am an environmentalist by profession.
Okay.
Having said that, you know, it's not, that's God's title for me. Because I got to the UN and I was working in the environmental program for 25 years. I left as a senior information officer. And that's how I spent a lot of time in Nairobi.
Oh, okay.
Because the head office for the United Nations Environmental Program is in Nairobi. So I was back and forth to Nairobi, hence all these boutiques.
Right. Yeah, no, they're
stuff.
gorgeous.
And I have a lot,
Yeah.
you know, because as I said, I was over, well, I did work in different areas of the UN, but the final place was with the environment program. I used to go back and forth, so I spent a lot of time with East Africa in particular.
Oh, okay.
You know. But you know, whose work is very similar to some of the ones I have is Albert Hewitt. Albert Hewitt's art thing is, you know, because I have one or two pieces and it's hard to tell which is who. Yeah. Albert Hewitt is original though, these are batiks. You know.
So you started your mission in January 2000.
No, I didn't start in 2000.
It was
I started in '96.
okay.
Because I left the UN early.
Okay.
I took early retirement. And, you know, I'm one of those people who used to never left Jamaica really,
Oh, really?
spiritually.
Okay.
I was always in some group that is involved with volunteer work, giving clothing and food and shelter and so on. But in addition to that, I had the opportunity to work with people from other countries.
Right.
Ruth Ngor, Dr. Ruth Ngor, she's well known from Cameroon.
Her name sounds
These are the big women. You know, I mean, when I say big in terms of, they were in the forefront
Yeah.
of women's
Champion.
movements. Yes.
Yeah.
Elvis Sittler, all those people, you know. I worked with them,
Yeah.
you know, but because at that time too, I was busy having children. I had 4 children in 5 years.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
You're pretty focused.
Wow, you're determined to get it all done.
It would have been fun.
Yeah.
On that. So, you know, I'm just saying all of this, that my life has been very quick, you know, and sort of hyper, you know, whatever I do. So I went back. I never left Jamaica, spiritually, as I said. Even as a child, but I'm considering myself a child because I left there when I was about 13 or so.
Okay.
And I've always been giving back something. I'm always involved in something when there's a hurricane or there's a tornado. There were a couple of us, Angela King who died, Angela King, R.O.C. King's daughter. Well, there were about 10 of us.
Okay.
We would always be gathering things up to send to Jamaica. And I was very fortunate because when you're soliciting under the auspices of the United Nations, people respond.
Right.
You know, when I call people and say, I'm Mrs. Montagnac. Huh? You know, I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
When I said that I'm Mrs. Montagnac from the United Nations, I got people like S.C. Johnson was one of my sponsors, $3 million on the phone.
Wow.
And they would pick me up in their private plane and take me to Racine, only because of the UN
Yeah,
title.
right.
People that don't understand a lot what the UN does.
Yeah.
And at this point, listen, I'm not so happy about how things are going on here. But those days, it meant something, you know. So that's how I had as much networking, interlocking networking, where I would get Prince, what was her name, Elizabeth of Yugoslavia. She.
And I can see some of the supporters that you have
Yeah,
listed here.
but,
You had,
you know,
yeah.
there were big,
Yeah.
you know, like Elizabeth would have a shipload of medicine for children. I deal with children. Shipload of medicine, for example, for children. She's going from California to Yugoslavia. Had her shipments in New York, waiting for Jamaican response. I called Trinidad, and Trinidad called. At the time was, what was it, polio or something? Blood. Stop me when you think I'm getting off track. But that's a sort of, I have enough citations to put on every wall I have. I was the Mother of the Year, you know, so I was doing something for my mother. For my children, because the children has to recommend you. With the Rodneys, Carl and Faye Rodney, you know, yeah, and so forth and so on. So I've covered a lot of grounds. In all of this mix, I had a very bad marriage. My marriage didn't work. And so literally, well, I shouldn't say that. My husband was a good father, but a lousy husband.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank God for the father part, right? Because that means it impacted the 4 children.
Yeah.
the man was a genius with children. Being a father.
Was he Jamaican?
Oh, very much so.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Montagnac, though. You know, that's a very, very French name.
So that means he was a man of kind of like style and all
He
that.
was a man like an African, bush African.
Yeah.
I think that's what endeared me to him. He too worked at the UN.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was working with both of the United Nations. You know, but he's from Homestead Road in Kingston.
Okay. Well, I'm a country bumpkin.
Yeah, he's
so-
at the bunk.
You're a country bumpkin.
Absolutely.
What road
Absolutely.
do you said? What road?
I'm from
No, you said he was from some road
Oh.
in Kingston.
Homestead Road, off Windward Road,
Oh, okay.
near to that high school and boys. What's the name of that? Not Monroe. What's the name of it? Excelsior.
Oh, okay.
You know, in that area. We met at school. He was my first love, and he came here after I did. We both worked together for quite some long time. So he retired and is back in Jamaica. He's not back in Jamaica, but he's investing a lot of money in Jamaica. He's building Noah's Ark. So, keep me on track.
Yes.
I want to know what you want to know. Why
Yes.
I have this out is because I just want to sort of introduce myself, that we're on the same page.
Yes.
Yes.
No, we
This-
can clearly see that.
This is not
Yeah.
a work of art. There
Yeah.
are even grammatical errors in there, you know, but this was my first attempt
Yeah,
at
no.
putting the thing in a formal,
Yes.
in a format.
Yes.
I had a 501c3 which I put on hold right now because the board members who are not dead or has Alzheimer's or something.
Oh, okay.
And plus I was doing all the work because my team were here and my project, I did nothing, well I did a couple of things in New York, but most of my work and funding and everything went to Jamaica. My
Right.
funding
It
all from here,
benefited,
all.
the benefits went to.
And although I have here Linton Park, my program is national. Because I am the only privately owned library in Jamaica that's run by the government. And that's quite something, I think.
Yeah.
And because
Absolutely.
it gave me the opportunity to give the islands, the schools, you know. So I
So-
have,
Can you tell me a little bit more? How does that work? You said it's privately
owned,
Owned.
I own it.
and it's
Run.
run
And they
by
run
the
and
government.
the government runs it.
Okay, because one of the strong interests that we have is to start that library in Flower Hill.
Okay.
So what exactly do you own? Do you own the building? If you could tell me a little bit more about
Okay, I did start out, let me tell you from the very beginning, and I would also like to show you the progression of it,
Okay.
because this is the first part of it. You know.
Okay.
This happened in 2002 and 2004 because it didn't start out being attached to anything government.
Okay.
All I did was make sure that I crossed all the T's, dot the lines, that I was not circumventing the rules of Jamaica.
Right.
So I aligned myself with the embassy,
Okay.
the mission here. Dr. Bryan at the time
Uh-huh.
was the ambassador to the UN.
Mm-hmm.
So you work closely with the politicians.
Right, what's in place?
Either the consulate or the mission,
Okay.
to make sure that, because it's full of all kinds of political nonsense.
Right.
It seems as if they try to block you more than to encourage you, because I don't want to give you the sad stories, but they're sad stories. Because this did not come to the attention of anybody until I was fully fit, you know, and they saw that I've spent, based on my report, because you know the 501c3 are scrutinized and you have to account for the penny and so forth. So I have spent close to $1 million in Jamaica since I started. And that's a conservative figure because we're looking at it from 2000 when the library was officially opened, not including 96 to now, to 2000 when I was on my own. Because I didn't go to Jamaica with a plan to build a library. Again, God had his hands on top of my head, regardless of what I did. Because I went back, my primary reason was to go back and restore my parents' home. None of my siblings interested in the house, and it was falling apart and so on and so on. And I wanted to do something to honor my parents. My father and mother never went to school. I have not even seen anything that my father has ever written. I don't know if he could write. Yeah. Oh, that's a food.
Oh, that's
Do you need my help?
Let's see.
Okay.